So it's always useful to visualize these things to help you make sure things look right. Sometimes just looking at the numbers doesn't really point out problems with your code. So this is where we can start getting into plotting in R. And I want to introduce you to a device, setting up a device on your machine. On a Windows machine, that device is going to be called Windows. On a Mac, that device will be called Quartz. And these are devices that will pop up a new window when you plot to them. And you have control over the aspect ratio of this window. So I can say width equals 8, height equals 6. And I like plotting to these pop-up windows because if you don't have specific access or specific control over the aspect ratio, it's just going to take on whatever aspect ratio that you have in this plots window in the bottom right. And depending on the aspect ratio, is going to make the plot look very different and possibly make it look messed up, depending on the aspect ratio and how you formatted the plot. So especially when I'm preparing finalized figures for presentations or for manuscripts for publication, I want to have very specific control over the aspect ratio to make sure it always looks the same when I'm generating it, and I can really tweak the formatting to be exactly what I want. So I always like to use a pop-up window with a set aspect ratio when I'm plotting to make sure my plots always look the same. And there are two. There's Windows, and there's also Quartz used for Mac, which will give you the same feature. Okay, the plot function, the primary plot function that will do a lot of stuff for you is the function plot. And the first two arguments for plot are going to be what you want to plot on the x variable and what you want to plot on the y variable. Now there's other versions of plot depending on what the type of the first argument is, but in terms of basic scatter plots, this is the way I like to do it to be super clear about what I'm doing. So my x variable, or my x argument, is going to be x. And this is one thing you've got to get used to. In R, the argument might have the same name as the variable you pass to that argument. But these x's have different meaning in different contexts. This is the argument called x, and this is the variable in my script called x. So these are two different things that I'm assigning to each other as part of passing the argument to this function. Y, on the other hand, is what I want to plot fx on my y-axis. So if I run this, of course it popped up on my other screen, I get a pop-up of my Windows graphics device with the aspect ratio that I specified, and you can see this is indeed a series of points that are exactly on a line with an intercept of 5 and a slope you will find of 2.